Greetings everyone and welcome back to 365 Concluded, where I conclude this entire series that I've done throughout this entire year by ranking some of my top 10 worst and best album covers, songs, and overall albums from the list. And today we're going to be taking a look at my personal top 10 favorite songs that I've heard throughout this year. And might I add, I think this is the list I've been most anticipating because, well, I didn't have a lot of time to really sit down and replay albums over and over, but one thing that I've definitely done is listen to songs a bunch of times. And for context, the songs that I'm going to be presenting today in this video are songs that I've listened to dozens upon dozens of times and have turned to what are probably all-time favorites of mine. So with that being said, let's not wait any longer and come right into the number 10 spot. So coming in at number 10, we have the song Nova Rest from the album Brandemann Cigar by the band Cultivator. So starting us off, we have this song from the band that has only created one album in the 80s and then disappeared into obscureness. These are the quasi-Zool sort of band called Cultivator, hailing from Sweden. And their only album called Brandemann Cigar, which if I remember correctly means Childhood's Ladder, is definitely an interesting listen. Originally I gave it a rating of 8, but honestly I would refine that to at least a 9 right now. And it consists of great songs which, as I said, sort of verge on experimentalism and Zool and symphonic rock and stuff like that, and it's really good. And I think that it all comes to the best appreciative moment when you hear Nova Rest. It would be hard for me to explicitly pinpoint why I love this song so much, but I have to say that it has a lot to do with its overall energies and maybe just overall ethics. You don't quite know what you're getting into when this song starts, but from every other song that has came before it in the album, you already know that it's gonna be something very special. And well, this one gets us right into these fast hi-hat grooves and, you know, the Zoolish operatic female songs, and well, it's so freaking amazing, and I just love the repetitiveness of it. Yes, I know that the word repetitive and monotony is usually used in the context of things that I hate, but in this case it has been utilized so freaking well to build up more and more tension and excitement throughout this song, which I honestly think is just brilliant. This one is just an energizing thing, and I listen to it whenever I just want to wake up, and I should definitely recommend everyone to go ahead and check out this album with an emphasis on Nova Rest. Coming in at number 9, we have Pressure of Pride from the album Crème by Blank Manuscript. Oh my god, I suspect that a lot of people watching this video right now do not know Blank Manuscript and do not know Crème, and honestly you should stop everything that you're doing right now and at least go ahead and give Pressure of Pride the first listen. Honestly, and this is so embarrassing, but I have to admit I think that there's only 2 prog songs that I consistently find the need to just scream along the lyrics to, and those being Scheherazade by Renaissance and this song. I think that the main hook of this song is just the overall complexity and timing of it. Like, the instrumentation itself has these pauses between them and it's really hard to follow it up, and I don't know how the band members managed to do so in a live setting, but apparently they do, and also singing the lyrics to that as well. And knowing the lyrics on this song as well just makes it all the more powerful, because this entire album revolves around the idea of isolation, or being like in a group but also feeling isolated, and this notion of the pressure for being proud is also something that comes across really well throughout this song. Now, of course, it's not only the main idea of this one, the overall instrumentation on here is just excellent, so freaking good. I love everything that has to do with its start. I love the saxophone solo, I love the odd keyboard solo on here. It's just a really fine song, condensed to less than 4 minutes, which is honestly really short in prog terms, and I think that they've done a great job with this one. And again, go ahead and listen to this one as well as any other recommendation I give you in this list. Coming in at number 8, we have Fugue in D minor from the album Egg by Egg. Honestly, I can't be alone here, can I? This song is amazing. Yes, I reviewed the album that this one comes off from right at the start of this series, and I think it a bit challenged me at the time. I wasn't really ready for it, and I gave it a pretty low rating for it, but this song was like a 10 out of 10. No doubts about it. Yes, if you don't know this song, it's called Fugue in D minor, which is the same name of Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Bach, which is a very famous piece, which I personally have a personal connection to because I used to see it as the intro for Once Upon a Time. Such a lovely series, I loved it, it definitely defined my childhood, and hearing this rendition made by Egg of this classical piece has just been everything that I needed ever. I think that one of the biggest aspects of progressive rock can sometimes be taking classical pieces or classically inspired pieces and then reimagining them in a more prog rock context, and a lot of bands do that and a lot of them fail, but some of the best examples for it succeeding have to be Pictures of an Exhibition by ELP and of course Fugue in D minor by Egg, which is a piece that despite sounding a lot like the original also goes ahead and stretches it out into so many new directions, and it does so finely to create something that is honestly as enjoyable, if not even more enjoyable than the original. Yeah, this song is literally amazing. It always gives me friction around my body and it's so good, and I never, I believe, skip this song, which should tell you a lot about the next 7 songs to come. Coming in at number 7, we have Turn of a Friendly Card Part 1 from Turn of a Friendly Card by the Alan Parsons Project. So yes, going a little bit off the prog road here and reviewing something that is very mainstreamly popular but not that most progressive thing ever. There are 2 schools of thought about the last suite on the entire album, whether it's 5 individual songs or just one big song called Turn of a Friendly Card, but in my opinion I would consider them 5 songs, and my personal favorite out of them has to be the Turn of a Friendly Card Part 1, which is just an amazing piece of music that I do believe to be irreplicable. I think that much like the rest of this list, this one was definitely deserving of the number 1 spot at some point in time, but as time went on and I got exposed to new music and I really, aged with the other music that I also knew, I think that it resides quite peacefully in the 7th spot, but still, it's a perfect song to say the least. I love the fact that this song takes you into this story, this moral story that is just so impactful to so many ways. It starts off with these classically tuned sort of instrumentation, and then we get the vocals on here which tell the story of dealing with gambling, and you know that it's more emotional and personal when you suddenly remember that it deals with the struggles that Eric Woolfson had with gambling, and well, it's so freaking impactful. I think that everything from the horns on here to the electric guitar solos to the instrumentation to the chord progressions on here is just amazing, but the lyrics themselves just sell it off so well to me. I think I've never really heard a line as impactful as the one that says, "For they think it will make their lives easier, but God knows up till now it's been hard." Just saying it, oh my god, just saying it gets me teary-eyed. It's so freaking emotional. Yes, I know that this song is not the most proggy thing ever, and that's a part of the reason why it's this high on the list, but honestly, if you ask me, this is a perfect song, no doubts about it. So coming in at number 6, we have the song Not Quite the Same from Phantasmagoria by Curved Air. So let me tell you this right now, this will be the only representation of Curved Air on any list that I have and that I'm doing in 365 concluded. And to be blunt with this one, at the start I didn't really think that much of this song, but as time went on I just kind of started loving it more and more to the point where I would put it at this 6th spot. Yes, my first acquaintance with Curved Air was definitely quite rough because their debut album is just so badly produced. The quality on it just makes it so intolerable in my opinion, and I know that a lot of people would justify it because of its great music, and while I can understand that it consists of some really good progressive rock, I just can't simply remove myself from the bad production quality. But by the time that I got to listen to Phantasmagoria, all that bad production quality was well away and I could actually start enjoying the music. And while I did enjoy some of the greatest tracks to be on here, like Melinda more or less, Express or Marie Antoinette, I think that by far the best song on this album has to be Not Quite the Same. I think that everything from the Sona Christina vocals that are very somber and melancholic, talking about these two peoples that are so detached from reality and so hopeless, suddenly finding one another, is just beautiful. The idea and the execution of it is so great, and the entire song is in a 5/4 time signature, which gives it this feeling of anticipation and constant progression that I particularly enjoy. And yes, myself, I just really like songs that are not in your usual 4/4 as well, so I guess that it added to that as well. Yes, while the song itself does consist of a pretty ABBA-cab structure, you might call that, I still feel like it has a lot of the essence of progressive rock in it. From the brass horns to the odd keyboard solos on it to the overall way that stuff moves is really the essence of what prog means to me, and that's why I don't feel that much of a shame including it in this list. And yes, I've come back to this one numerous times because it is so freaking good and well made. And just as an editor's side note, I actually postponed writing this part of the script for this video 2 times because I always wanted to give this song a listen, so I just had to sit back, listen to it, come back, write another line, go back, listen to the song, write another line, and yeah, it's a bit of an issue with me. Next up at number 5 we have Myrskiludon Meja from the album Matkamiel and Yeremin by the band Saima. So seeing as Saima are not even included on the prog archives, I've always had this sort of debate on whether they were actually a progressive rock band, and a lot of people would justify them as being a world music band, and while that might be true to some of their things and to their overall aesthetic, I cannot see a world in which Myrskiludon Meja is not considered a proper progressive rock song, if not even a staple of what the genre sounds like. Name any instrument? This song probably has it. This band is comprised of about 30 players, all coinciding with one another in this individual song. It's such a freaking good piece. You can't quite know what it's entailing, and it starts off pretty ambiguously with these ambient noises, but then it goes on to this flute-led song that changes up things so constantly and to such an extent that it's honestly amazing that it feels like one cohesive piece despite it being damn pretty long. I think that the fact of the matter is, when it comes to being eclectic in your overall sounds, I don't know a song that is more eclectic than this one. It goes in so many different directions, yet it stays cohesive, as I said. An amazing piece by an amazing band that I honestly don't know enough of. And yes, as you're about to see, one of the biggest themes that make this song so freaking great, at least subjectively to me, is because it's just a celebration of sound. It's a festival of sonic sounds, and it's so freaking good. I am happy to listen to this one. I want to dance to this one, and I know that progressive rock is not the most danceable music out there, but this one is definitely the exception. And throughout this year, I've heard a lot of bands that were able to nail to 100% the technicality side, but just lacked the emotion, and I think that the biggest example for that had to be Everything Basically by Liquid Tension Experiment. Again, very great technically, not that much on the personal aspect side of things, but when it comes down to this one, despite this song being composed by about 30 players as it seems, it still is very technical, so great, but also very personal. Coming in at number 4 we have Mr. 10% from Illusions on a Double Dimple by Triumvirate. When it comes down to it, the album that this one comes off from only has 2 songs, 2 side-long suites, with the first one being Illusions on a Double Dimple and the second one being Mr. 10%. And while the 2 of them are definitely perfect, I think that this one is just perfect-ter. I love divulging and telling you everything that is great about this one, but I think that there are certain key moments on here that are definitely the most memorable to me. This song starts off really strong, but then it goes on to a piano solo by Jürgen Fritz, which honestly rivals Firth of Fifth in my opinion. It is so freaking good, so emotional, so out there in so many ways, and it transitions with moods all the time, and then it comes clashing down into the vocals, so rough, so real, so elegant, but so not at the same time, and a saxophone solo, and there's so many things about this song that are entirely and wholly great, and considering the fact that I have a big soft spot for the longer pieces, which even if they're not that great, if they're long I like them, this one has just hit all the right notes with me, and I think that it's definitely a perfect song, which I'll never consider as anything other than that. And again, I've met countless people that don't know Triumvirate, they do not know Illusions on a Double Dimple. I don't know how you can live without knowing this. If you like ELP to any extent, you're gonna love this one so much and you're gonna thank me for introducing you to them. So again, do yourself a favor, go ahead and listen to Illusions on a Double Dimple, and in particular More Even to Mr. 10%. Coming in at number 3, we have Comfort Zone from +4626 Comfort Zone by Beardfish. Beardfish, my personal favorite band from 2022 according to Spotify Wrapped. Apparently, it is no wonder that they've made it on the list, though it is a bit of a wonder that they've only made it on the 3rd ranking. So I did not say this at the start of the video, but I am imposing the 1 song per band rule on this list, because if not, all of it would have been comprised from Beardfish's songs, especially songs from Sleeping in Traffic Part 2, which if you know me a bit, you know that I love to fullest extension of perfectiveness. Yet this song does not come from that album, and it's quite an interesting thing to me, because I think that while everything on Sleeping in Traffic Part 2 is just sublime, this song somehow happens to be better than all of them. And well, I have to admit, it was really a hard pick for me to make, because I felt disingenuous not including anything from Sleeping in Traffic Part 2, but this one just excelled in everything to perfection. Craftsmanship 100, memorability 100, emotions 100, making me want to scream out my lungs with Rickard Solblum a freaking 100. This song is the absolute definition of perfection, and one of the things that I really like about this one is, seeing as this album came out quite recently actually, at least in general time conceptions, the fact of the matter is that the relevancy of this one is really appropriate for now. It talks about loneliness in this age of everything being digitalized and, you know, depression and stuff like that, but it addresses it in such a unique and wonderful way that is honestly more uplifting than downlifting. That is honestly more uplifting than off-putting, and well, I think that this is just the ability of Beardfish to write pieces of music that transcend perfection to some extent. And yes, I do believe that Beardfish, despite not knowing their entire discography, are the best prog band to have come out after the year of 2000, and that is a hill I will die on, raising the flag with this song on it as I do. But one must still remember, this is only the 3rd spot on this list. We still have 2 more songs that somehow managed to overdo this one. So coming in at number 2, we have Dixie from the album Si on a veit besoin du 5e saison by the band Harmonium. So I suspect that a lot of people watching this video already know the album that this one comes off from, and if you don't know, what are you doing? Why are you watching this? Why are you not listening to Si on a veit besoin du 5e saison? It's so much better than anything that I've ever made. And Dixie is the song on here that represents summer, and well, it's the most perfectest thing I've ever heard. And I think that a lot of people think that because this song, which is not entirely progressive but it's definitely prog tinged, has managed to captivate the hearts of many people that wouldn't even consider themselves prog fans. It is quite unfortunate that this song comes from Canada and it is in French, because I feel like a lot of people could enjoy this one but just simply never gotten to know it because it is a bit too foreign to them. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I think that this song is just so perfect, and it's hard for me because I'm calling everything perfect on here and it's because it really is, but this one connects with me on such a subjective level that it's literally amazing. I've started attending college quite recently actually, and I've made it a rule of mine that every single morning as I walk to the bus stop I listen to this one because it guarantees having a great day afterwards. I literally cannot walk in the street and listening to this one in my headphones without wanting to dance along to it, and it's just the most funny thing ever because I actually sometimes do dance in the street to this song because it's so moving. Everything about this song, even on the technical level, which is not actually that simple, this song is pretty complex and really fast paced, and the instrumentation on here requires some really good players to actually nail it, and they all do. The guitar, the piano, the vocals, the freaking clarinet, God save the clarinet on here, is so good, and the overall progression of this entire song just makes my heart pumping so freaking faster because it's so fun, it's so happy. I don't think that you could ever have encapsulated the feeling of happiness better inside of a 4-minute long song than Dixie. Honestly, personally, if I ever created a song like Dixie, I would have laid down my instruments and quit making music entirely, knowing that there's literally nothing that I can do to create anything better than this one. And with all of those compliments that I'm hailing on this one, we still have to remember that there's one more song that has somehow managed to transcend this one, and I guess I don't really want to keep you waiting, so here's my number 1 pick. So coming in at number 1, we have C'è un paese al mondo from Maxophone by Maxophone. What is this pick? What is this pick? This is a band that will not and has not been represented in this concluded series that I'm doing, and well, it's such an odd thing that they've taken the number 1 spot on here, but let me tell you, this song in particularly deserved it more than any other. Yes, the possibility of finding my all-time favorite piece of music in this series was pretty much highly likely because, well, I've listened to 365 new albums, and it's pretty reasonable to understand that I might encounter something that is better than anything I've ever heard ever. And well, I suspect that a lot of you, especially those who are not into Italian prog or RPI, just simply don't know this song, so let me condense it down to you and tell you that this is 6.5 minutes of human brilliance. C'è un paese al mondo means there is a country in the world, and well, it does sound better in Italian, and overall the fact that this song is sung in Italian just makes it so much better. And yes, I would have to consider the vocals on here more like instruments rather than actual things that I want to understand the meaning of, because it just makes the song feel much more fluid when you just simply go along with it, not really knowing what it means. Now, one of the things that I personally love about this song, and I think encapsulates everything that I enjoy about progressive rock, is its tendency to never quite stay the same. I don't think that one singular idea is explored on here for more than like 2 or 4 bars at max. They always change things up, and it's so well done. The idea that this song goes through so many different phases, moods, emotions, ideas, tendencies, frequencies, decibels, whatnot, is just amazing to me, because at the end of the day it still sounds like one cohesive piece. It starts off with this dreamy piano that moves upwards to something unknown, and then suddenly it all comes clashing down with the entire band playing simultaneously, when suddenly they take a step back and there are brass horns in here and they sound so good. And then vocals sung by their bassist, so you know they have to be good because they're sung by their bassist. And afterwards, again, without any preparation, we suddenly go into this clarinet-led swing section. And yes, if you might have realized this by now, I really like prog when it introduces a clarinet. And while I do believe that all of this song up until this point has been the most perfectest thing ever, nothing could replicate what happens with this one at the 4.5 minute mark. I'm not gonna say what it is, because if you do not know this song, I really don't want to spoil it to you, but let me just tell you that every single time when I reach that 4.5 mark and the band comes in together, I get this overall frisson inside my whole body. My hairs are perked up. I feel like I am transcending here, and it has led me to tears so many times despite not even knowing what the song really means. And well, it just shows you of the impact that this song can have on me. Yes, this might not be a favorite of yours, and you might not realize it quite quickly why I like this one so much, but I think that enough time with this piece will yield so many resolutions. I have listened to C'è un paese al mondo so many times, dozens upon dozens, maybe even hundreds of times, who knows, and every single time I've not skipped it, and every single time it has hit me in the same degree of emotion, like it's the first time I'm listening to this one. And honestly, that's everything I could ever ask from a piece of music, and that's definitely what this one delivers. So again, I will state this as most obviously as I can. Please go check out this song, and while you're at it, go check out the entire album because it's pretty freaking good. But yeah, that's about it. But before I finish off this video, and I know that it's getting quite long, I want to do something pretty fun. Seeing as Spotify has provided me with the Spotify Wrapped, basically ranking my top 10 favorite songs of the year, I wanted to see what would be the comparison between my personal subjective picks and what Spotify picked for me. So at number number 10 we have Nova Rest as my pick and Opening Move by Griffin as Spotify's pick. At number 9 I chose Pressure of Pride, but Spotify chose Oh Caroline by Matching Mole. Now at number 8 I chose Fugue in D minor and then Spotify put Pressure of Pride. At number 7 I chose The Turn of a Friendly Card, but Spotify put LG by Colosseum. At number 6 I put Not Quite the Same, while Spotify put Fugue in D minor. At number 5 we have Mine Mirsky Ludan Major, but Spotify put The Turn of a Friendly Card Part 1. At number 4 I have Mr. 10%, while Spotify has Cempesa Mondo, very wrong in that regard I think. At number 3 I have Comfort Zone, while Spotify put Mr. 10%. At number 2 I've put Dixie, but Spotify put Beardfishes Into the Night. And at number 1 I've put Cempesa Mondo, while Spotify pretty understandably put Dixie. But yeah, in this case of course we also have to take into consideration the fact that I knew these songs at different times, and you know the amounts of times I've played them are pretty inconsistent because of that, so yeah, what can you do? But anyway, that is about it guys. Stay tuned for tomorrow, because tomorrow we will switch up the categories and go on to reviewing my top 10 worst albums that I've heard this year, so stay tuned for that. And with that being said, I'd like to thank my lovely supporters over on Patreon, so thank you so much to Clay Wanham, Rist of Kings, and Lindsay Haycox. You guys are just the best, and if any of you want to support me over on Patreon, you can find the link down in the description or in my about page. But that's about it guys, have a wonderful day and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye guys.